Look, I was going to go easy on you, not to hurt your feelings. But I'm only going to get this one chance. Something's wrong. I can feel it. It's just a feeling I've got. Like something's about to happen. But I don't know what. If that means what I think it means, we're in trouble. Big trouble. And if he is bananas, as you say, I'm not taking any chances. You just want the start.
I'm beginning to feel like a nerd god. All my geeks from the front to the back nod. Cultural knowledge so rich, call us Butterworth. We spit fine, special snowflakes get butthurt. Film, comics, music, life. We're right, you're wrong. Fight us, but please don't sue us. So, hey, welcome back to the Please Don't Sue Us podcast. I am Dennis Day, God of the Nerds, with Ace Bass.
Ace here again, episode 3, partying up.
Yes, but this time we are not alone.
And I'm FourEyedRounin. Gonna be joining these guys for the anime corner.
Yes,
the anime.
We've been trying to get him on for the last couple of episodes, but he's been busy with
adulting, life, work,
orgies.
Pretty much. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that John should have been doing with us a while back, but for whatever reason, thinks he's too cool and too busy for us. He has more friends, so we're just chopped liver.
As much as I like you guys, I like seeing women every now and then,
but not touching them.
Hey, look, but don't touch.
Everybody likes to touch.
But John went to high school with us, as we explained in our first podcast. He's been through the cultural cycle. He knows the stuff. Not as much as we do, but when it comes to anime, he is the source code.
He's the alpha and the omega.
He is the alpha and the omega.
They call him Dr. Killinger with his magic murder bag.
Please don't sue us.
Anyways, first thing we wanted to talk about was, we've been one of the things me and Ace been talking about was how we kind of been living our life from comic book movie to comic book movie lately.
Yeah, pretty much. We just kind of wait for the next movie to come out, hold us over, honestly, between the movies that we last watched, I've watched Batman Year One, I've watched Batman Under the Red Hood, and Dark Knight Returns Part 1. So
filling it in with those Warner Brothers animation classes. But every once in a while, a movie will come out that's not comic book based that we like, and we're just like, or it seems interesting to be like, well, let's go check it out. Yeah. Well, since there wasn't any comic book movies last week, we went and saw The Nice Guys, which is kind of a throwback to those 70s, odd couple, buddy cop movies. And, of course, it stars Russell Crowe and
Ryan
Gosling. The Gosling.
Yeah.
Hey, girl.
Yeah.
You want to see me in this detective movie?
Yeah.
But it was really good. I mean...
It was really good. It was really funny. Like, the jokes were pretty natural. Nothing really was, really forced to, haha.
It just... I mean, it was a very self-aware. It didn't take itself seriously. It just it had a lot of those old tropes that they had in those kind of 70s detective movies. The crime was very heinous. Yeah. Usually sex was involved. You get involved in a seedy underbelly, in this case being the porn industry, which in some way is connected to a larger conspiracy that no one would see coming, and somehow two people that would seem like they're not going to be able to solve something like this because they just
are so different. They're
they're just too stupid to die, yet just confident enough to function as people.
You can almost say that they stumble into their victories in a way.
Quite literally stumble into their victories. Yeah. At least they know when to get out. I think one of my favorite moments from that movie was when they're trying to find the girl at the airport hotel, and they go up. They've been talking about this dude, John Boy, not you, John, but this guy who's supposedly like this super badass assassin killer dude.
Yeah.
And they go up there, and what do you call it? They had mentioned that John Boy was already up there, and they open the elevator door, and immediately as they look out, there's a dude, throat slit, and he's like, and he falls over, and then they hear crashing, and they see some dude getting shot, and they just close the doors to the elevator, and it starts going down.
Like, nope.
And it's one of those elevators that has a glass back so they can see outside. And then they just see some dude go falling from the window.
Yeah.
And they're just like, nope. A whole lot of nope.
Lots of nope. No, they quickly scurried out of there. And then, right as they were leaving, like, the girl they were trying to find, like, just lands on their car. And just, like, boom, shoots them. And... the bullet ends up ricocheting, grazes her, knocks her out. Yeah.
So they're just like, oh, she can't run from us now. Let's take her with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that it was a really, it wasn't a big event movie that we could be talking about forever, but it was a nice little reprieve.
Yeah. It had its, like I said, it had its funny moments. It was great. It had great flow. I mean, they had a good dynamic between Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling.
They had good bromance.
They had a good bromance, yeah. So I mean, definitely a good check, worth checking out the movie. It's you'll enjoy it.
I would say it's a 3.5 out of 5.
Yeah, I would have to agree.
John hasn't seen it.
Are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained?
Please don't do this.
Which was supposed to be, again, I know we mentioned it was supposed to be the name of our podcast, but some bastard out there decided to steal our idea.
So we couldn't use it.
Yeah.
Or we could have, but, we chose to be original.
Yeah.
In any way that we could.
Yeah.
But moving on to the actual good stuff, this weekend there was a big comic book movie.
Yep.
And we did go see it, except not John.
John hasn't seen it, so spoiler. Sorry, John.
Sorry. Yes.
Spoiler alert.
We don't care.
Yeah, that's the whole point of this podcast.
We talk about it.
So if you've seen it, pause it, go watch it, come back, and listen to the rest of the podcast.
All right. Cool. You're back? All right. Seriously. Yeah. X-Men Apocalypse. We saw it this weekend.
Yep.
And before the movie came out, I guess the embargo for the critics lifted really early because I've been seeing reviews for it for like almost the last week and a half. And I was really surprised at how just like middling they were. Middling to bad. Like there were people that said this was the worst X-Men movie of all time. Even worse than X-Men Origins Wolverine. And I was like, no, that's impossible.
There's no way. Yeah, I saw those reviews too. It's like, dude, like what kind of dumbass has that kind of like review?
And so we went in and watched it, and it was good. It was entertaining. I don't know. I wouldn't say it's the best X-Men movie, but it was solid.
Yeah, it was definitely a great movie. Not the best, sure, but I would still use the word great. It was a great movie. It was great in its story. It was great in what it was doing.
I mean,
the characters. I mean, there really isn't anything you can complain about.
It balanced a huge cast pretty well.
Yeah.
Like, everyone pretty much got their moments to shine.
Yeah.
In the same way that Captain America Civil War did. It had this huge cast of characters and kind of balanced them all out. It had this kind of huge overarching story with other things underlying in it. I guess it really was like a fan movie because like there's things about it that are going to throw off mainstream audiences, mainly the appearance of Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Apocalypse is a weird looking dude.
Yeah.
He's always been a weird looking dude. They had a pretty comic book accurate depiction of him. John doesn't like it.
Yeah, okay, you know what? To all of you people who are complaining, go fuck yourself. What, you want to see this big purple dude with a giant fucking A on his fucking pants, his belt? Dude, grow up, alright? Like, it's just a different movie adaptation.
But, I mean, even his armor. His armor looked like Apocalypse's armor. I mean, Apocalypse and he's the first mutant. He was an ancient mutant. He was a He was a goddamn ruler.
Right. But I'm just saying, dude, the little bitches out there who were like, oh, he didn't have his fucking belt and shit. It's like, dude, what the hell is wrong with you?
He even had the freaking cables.
Yeah, the cables and everything,
head,
you know, like...
on his neck. I mean, yeah, it's just like, Apocalypse is a really weird looking dude, and he's got a very interesting power set.
Yeah.
And so
which they displayed very well.
Oh my god, he is just like dropping people into the... like morphing people into the fucking ground and into walls and just murking people
like
left and right.
Teleporting into anything.
He can manipulate matter. He can teleport. He can heal. He can like
energy projection.
He can learn new abilities.
He's mutant Jesus.
Super strength.
He is mutant Jesus.
Yeah.
He basically is. I mean, he's one of the most like powerful rogues in the X-Men universe.
Yeah.
Actually, there were a lot of fairly comic accurate costumes in this movie, which is kind of new to the X-Men franchise because they've always just gone with
black
like
leather jumpsuits.
the black sleek like task force suits, which worked for the time because I don't think anyone was ready for fucking like how they even made that joke in the first X-Men. One, yellow spandex Wolverine.
Yeah.
But now they've kind of, comic book movies has kind of mastered the way to keep the look but subtling it down some. So it's,
I don't know. They kind of kept the Jubilees like 70s.
Well, because it takes place in the 80s.
Yeah, man.
It takes place in the 80s. That look was perfect for the 80s because that was the 80s, man. But it doesn't work so much anymore. But the thing is that they never changed it, so she was always just that yellow raincoat, pink shirt with the fucking glasses and everything in it.
And even one of the interviews they had was like the accuracy of the costumes were actually pushed on by the actors. They're the ones who really pushed for that because they wanted to go with the black suit and everything, especially with Psylocke. Olivia Munn was what's her name? Not Olivia Munn.
Yeah, it is. Olivia. It is Olivia Munn.
It is Olivia Munn. Yeah.
It is.
Yes. Okay.
I know there's a lot of Olivias.
Yeah. So I was like, wait, am I talking about around?
Yes.
Anyway, they wanted to give her the Psylocke costume all black. She's like, no, I want the purple.
Oh, that's kind of X-Force, isn't it?
No,
she does have a black.
Yeah, she does, but specifically for this movie,
her classic costume is
she wanted the classic costume, so she really pushed for that.
The purple with the sash.
Yeah. And again, so mentioning that, you say, this movie takes place in the 80s. How you're just reading how, like, your friend, was like, oh.
I like how you did air quotes.
Because fuck that guy now, okay?
You can't see it.
It's like, they
quotes.
had no, like, honor to the characters. I don't know. It's like, dude, first of all, this is already an alternate timeline. So anything is fucking moot at this point. Any storyline that's built up from here is its own thing.
Yeah.
It's not a comic that you can reference and be like, oh, this is how it happened, it's supposed to happen.
The timeline that started with the first X-Men
is gone.
It ended with Days of Future Past.
Mm-hmm. And now they're still back in the past.
Exactly.
Let me break down a quick summarization of the timeline. Okay, X-Men First Class is the beginning of that timeline. Then it goes into X-Men, the original one that came out in the 90s, and branches off to Days of Future Past timeline, which goes into X-Men Apocalypse. The one that's the first X-Men goes into X2, X-Men The Last Stand, the Wolverine, and it ends there.
Yes. So this whole movie, Apocalypse, it's the start of a whole new timeline. It fucking just veers off from right before Mystique stops Magneto from killing the president and everything, and then boom, the Sentinel shit doesn't happen. That whole future is gone. So this new storyline is a completely new arc. Like, there's nothing you can bitch about whenever it's, it didn't happen in the fucking comics.
That's the reason why the Deadpool movie happened the way it did, instead of following the same timeline as the Deadpool that was depicted in X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Yeah.
Even though they sprinkled X-Men Origin
Deadpool
all over that movie.
So any bitching and moaning about like how it's not true to the characters and everything, it's like, no, dude, like, you're already wrong because this is a different timeline.
And you do get to see the future.
It's not just that. Also, I mean, like they said, it was
Yeah.
It had an inconsistent tone. That was one of the critiques on it. An inconsistent tone that it was just bad. Like, I haven't really seen anything specific, but they said it was just bad, that it had an inconsistent tone, the jokes were off-putting, the cutting of the scenes was jarring and all that. I didn't see that at all. In fact, I thought it flowed pretty well.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't really seem to have, like, a middling part. I mean, there were a bunch of things that were happening, but they were all...
You could follow what was going on.
You could follow what was going on unless, you have the attention span of a fucking goldfish.
Or just a plain dumbass. So.
I don't really understand how people couldn't follow it.
Well, I mean, these critics are pretty dumbasses anyway. They have, like, their heads so far up, shitholes.
But it's not just critics, it's also the audiences. Like, some of them... I mean, it didn't... I was just looking at the box office for it. I mean, this is Memorial Day weekend, so who knows what it'll be... it'll look like come Monday. But Friday, it only made about $28 million on its opening day.
Yeah.
That's a kind of shitty opening for any kind of comic book movie.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I can't... I mean, there's, I guess, so many factors. People are traveling, whatever. But,
But
I
how does
mean,
that compare
this
to,
is
like-
this is Bryan Singer directing the X-Men, which is when the X-Men was supposed to be the best, was under Bryan Singer's care.
But how does that compare to the studio's performance in their other comic book movies?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, one big mark that Fox has going against it is that they completely and utterly fucked the dog when it came to Fanforstic.
Yeah. They really fucked it up on that one.
But
that is true.
I mean, they kind of did garner a fair amount of goodwill because of Deadpool.
Yeah.
But they gave free reign to the writers and the director.
Not too much. I mean, they actually kind of undercut them.
Yeah.
They cut $7 million from the budget at the last minute.
Dude, Ryan Reynolds had to push and fight real hard for that movie to happen the way it did.
Exactly.
Like, even then, he got screwed.
Yeah, but with a director like Bryan Singer on board, he had a lot of creative control when it came to that movie. And like I said, this it's not the best X-Men movie for me. I think that's like a two-way tie between X2, X-Men United, and First Class.
First Class was great. I liked that a lot.
I think that those are probably like the two best X-Men movies.
Yeah.
And then...
But how did you like all the young versions of all the mutants?
I did find the casting of Sansa Stark as a young Jean Grey a little weird.
Yeah.
It was a little weird. I mean, I guess I could kind of see her as a young...
a young Jean.
I don't know how to pronounce her name. Famke Johnson? She's got a weird-ass name.
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't know, Sansa Stark is Sophie Turner.
Sophie Turner.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that part did seem kind of odd to me, but I mean, everything else worked pretty well. I mean, and like, honestly, okay, like, in the 80s, these, like, guys, Cyclops, Jubilee, and everything, like, are almost in their 20s, close to it. They're in their 16, 17, 18 years old, so by the time in the future where they're older, they kind of fits.
I guess because it's not under Marvel's care. It's going to be susceptible to a lot more criticisms because people really
tie into everything else.
Well, it's not just that. There are people that are just like really sucking Marvel's dick when it comes to this stuff because I mean Marvel has been hitting it out the park pretty much with all of their movies and like 20th Century Fox is the last holdout. They won't make a deal. They're keeping, these rights in their own little sandbox, and then they're going home. But, I mean, I guess the X-Men's kind of hit or miss. It has been with the whole side, the way it's been controlled. So I can understand. Yeah. There's not going to be that whole... I just trust it going in. There's a lot of mixed, preconceived notions. It's just like, this was terrible, this was good, this was terrible, this was good. Yeah. It doesn't really have a real solid record of being, loyal to the sources.
Yeah.
This one was actually pretty fucking loyal to the sources, and I think I don't know if
so
that tripped up general audiences, but like as a fan, I thought it was great because they're actually starting to embrace a lot of the more comic lores. I think one of the problems I had with the X-Men before is the kind of, because there's a lot of mutants. There's a lot of mutant characters. Any mutant character can fall within the X-Men range.
Yeah.
And 20th Century Fox just kind of just like used them in random ways. Yeah. Like their characters, like their allegiances or their ages or who they were connected to were kind of just like all over the place.
Yeah.
You know, even in this one, they haven't changed. Like they're a lot better at it, but some of them don't make sense. Like Psylocke, how old she is in the 80s. I mean, it's just like, she was one of the more younger X-Men. Yeah. Which I thought just like, I'm like, wow. I mean, it's cool that they got a living woman to do, but it's just like, damn, dude. It's just like how she gels with this other X-Men cast is just like she's too old considering the other characters. Yeah. Like when they introduced Alex Summers in
Days of Future Past.
Well, no, he was in First Class, which took place in the 60s. Yes. I was just like, because I didn't know how old he was supposed to look like even if he was a teenager. I was just like, I'm like, damn, dude, that was the 60s, How is he Scott's brother at that in that time? That would just seem like Scott, wouldn't he... the age difference between them would have to be at least a decade. Yeah. Which
I guess they're younger, or the other Summers brother,
Oh yeah, I mean they still haven't brought in Vulcan. Yeah. The other Summers brother. Yeah. But I mean, that's one of the things that tripped me out about that. I was just like, dude, I mean, like he's that age in the 60s. How the fuck is he Scott's brother? Because Scott's not that old. No. I mean, when we first get introduced to Scott in X-Men, which is supposed to take place in the late 90s, early 2000s, he's like 30. Yeah. So, how the fuck? But I guess
time travel, bro. Time travel.
I guess that they kind of made it work where he was like a high school senior in this one, and Alex was like his older brother. Yeah. But I mean, there has to be at least 15 years, between them, which isn't that far fetched. I mean, between me and my older brother, there's about 12 years. Yeah. So, but I mean, yeah, because they weren't. I don't remember them being that far apart in the comics. Yeah. Or just like you have these characters that are related to each other. And they don't mention anything. That was one thing that they brought up in here is that they finally had Quicksilver. He's just like he found out that Magneto was his dad. Yeah. But at the same time, and I still can't figure this out. I don't know why. I don't know if Bryan Singer's holding off on this for some other reason, but Mystique and Nightcrawler had a fair amount of screen time together, especially in the first act of the movie, where she goes and specifically saves his ass from like a underground mutant fighting ring.
Where Blob was there too.
Yeah, Blob was in there for a brief second. Yeah. Not a single mention, not even a hint, son. Not even a nod at, yes, the freaking Nightcrawler is her son. And not only that, his dad was in the movies too, Azazel. Yep. And she knew him. It's just like, hey, there's no like, hey, I knew your dad.
Hey, look, at the end of that movie,
you have to say you look just like him, except you're blue. I'm blue. I knew your dad.
Yep.
Well, she did abandon him, so there's a disowning right there.
But not.
But she went to save him specifically.
It's just, it's just weird because
you can still disown them and not want them to die.
I just thought it was a little weird because this movie was a lot about family, just like the family connections. Like Magneto loses another family. Yep.
And just goes off the deep end.
Oh my god, and that one cop. Yeah. Oh my god, that cop fucking... He had to be the greatest cop, the greatest person with an arrow ever. Better than freaking Hawkeye or whatever. Because he no-scoped, shot a plastic arrow a tungsten, or I mean, it was something. It couldn't have been metal.
Yeah.
It couldn't have been metal because Magneto was there. No scopes a fucking arrow accidentally and nails both Magneto's wife and daughter through the heart.
Like,
one arrow,
boom.
no scope, double heart shot, kills.
Yep.
You know, most arrows these days are either carbon fiber or like some sort of.
Okay, this was back.
This movie takes place in the 80s.
Stuff is kind of old.
Was that widely
Look,
used?
if you saw it, it was a shitty bow, dude.
It was
Even
kinda
the
shitty,
shittiest of arrows were usually wood.
But it's just like he wasn't even tried. It doesn't matter about the material.
Look, he was
I'm not even kidding.
at,
Just
at
like,
full tug. He was like maybe like halfway through, and just like this, and then he just like let go, and then like fucking like straight shot, like fucking Robin Hood shit, and just like heart.
It went through two people? It must
Yes.
have been like some 100-pound bow that was half cocked.
No, dude, it looked like the guy got a branch from the tree, wrapped a string, and then just
to be
like,
fair, his wife and daughter were kind of skinny, like pretty scrawny.
That's
it doesn't
still
look
really
like
hard for an arrow
it
to
doesn't
go through
look like
two
they've.
people.
But either way,
Fuck.
yeah, just like so he loses another family, goes off the deep end again. Then you got frickin' mutant Jesus, Oscar Isaac, Apocalypse coming in.
Yeah.
And
He's
just
blue too!
I thought they did a pretty good job with depicting Apocalypse as just like his plans were super grandiose. His powers are just ridiculous, just like off the charts.
Yeah.
Just doing whatever, and he had a very specific aesthetic, you know.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things too about it, is just like how he was physically making their costumes for them.
Yeah. Like he just like boom, like that was like fucking what's it called?
Matter manipulation.
Matter manipulation. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah.
I mean, just like the power sets, just like off the wall. I mean, they didn't even really use all the powers that he had in the comics. A little bit they did, like because even in the comics he had the ability to change size. He could grow bigger or smaller, and he did that when he fought with the Professor. See, this was also interesting too, because in the comics, the Professor, one of his lesser shown abilities in the movies is that he can actually take people into what is like the psychic plane, where he can battle them with like a psychic avatar.
Yeah.
Like physically
like
battle
an astral
them.
projection, like I am now not cripple.
Like like he could have like a super ego version of himself and fight them on this plane. Like he in the comics he did it with a person called the Shadow King, who was like him, like had a very similar power set but was evil, and he fought him on the psychic plane, and they basically had like gladiator kind of avatars and were doing physical battle with their psyches.
Yeah.
And that's what he was doing to Apocalypse. He brought up, he's like, this is my house! And he literally had a projection of his house and was freaking...
He punched the shit out of him.
Freaking, yeah, like going bare knuckles boxing on fucking Apocalypse. And then Apocalypse is like, you're going to need a bigger house, bro. And then he starts growing and like... going ragdolling him like friggin' Ant-Man in Civil War with
Falcon.
No, not Falcon. War Machine. Yeah. It's just like friggin' ragdolling him around. But I don't know. There were a lot of elements in the movie, but like it wasn't confusing at all. It all kind of flowed in. Like they stuck with the undercurrent about how Jean is insanely powerful.
Oh my god. Yeah.
But like because she can't fully control her powers, but in this instance she was allowed to use them to her full potential because it was the end of the fucking world.
Yeah.
So she goes Phoenix Force on his ass.
And just wrecks him.
And wrecks it. Just like, well, no, because it was just like everybody was throwing everything at him. Freaking Cyclops took off his visor and is hitting him with unfiltered optic blast.
Yep.
Magneto's raining down metal from the sky.
And he's still battling Charles in his mind.
Still battling Charles in his mind. Just like everyone's just like throwing any kind of shit. Storm shooting him with lightning bolts. And then finally Jean's just like, all right, I'm gonna get in there. But that, see, I can understand. See, in that final battle, they kind of went a little too much with like the cinematic tension, just like that whole thing. Because Charles is trying to, while he's getting his ass kicked, he's trying to convince Jean. He's like, Jean, fucking let it go.
Yeah.
It's just like super drawn out, like, oh god, no, slow motion.
Yeah.
Fucking, and then she's just like, oh, alright. And she just walks out onto nothing, and it's just like, Phoenix Force, bitch.
Yeah.
And just,
Fucking Apocalypse just gets wrecked. It's
gets
like,
fucking wrecked. Just,
And what was that line? It has been.
all is revealed.
Yeah, all is revealed.
Oh,
and then,
man.
The end.
But, there is a cameo, or an extended cameo by huge Jackman.
Oh yes.
The Wolverine, and they actually did a really good job with this cameo, where what do you call
His Weapon X.
Stryker kidnaps some of them, because when Apocalypse makes his presence known, he basically takes everyone's nukes and throws them into space, so the world is defenseless against him. And so, of course, Weapon X is just like, mutants doing some screwy shit.
Yeah.
Let's go to the school building that we know of that has a bunch of them and take all the important people.
Yeah.
So they do, and the kids, it was Jean, Cyclops, and Nightcrawler,
Yeah.
managed to sneak in there because Jean can make people think that they're not there. She can tell people's brains we're not there. So
Jedi mind
so
trick.
she Jedi mind tricks them into together. So of course this is Weapon X. Weapon X is in there,
Yeah.
and of course they let him out, and man,
He goes ham.
He goes ham on them fools.
Yep.
Just making Swiss cheese. Swiss cheese! Swiss
Oh,
cheese.
dude. And it was great, like, as soon as we got in there, and, like, you can tell right away, like, just by, like, the heavy breathing inside the cage. Like, you couldn't see in the cage or anything, it was all, obviously, like, very well armored. But right away, it's like, oh, shit, it's fucking Wolverine in there.
It's Wolverine. Weapon X Wolverine.
Weapon X Wolverine. And when he comes out, like, he has the fucking,
it
the
is
tech
like,
on him.
it
and
looks just like the Weapon X outfit that he wore, with the exception of the visor.
Yeah.
Because, these actors, they like to get their face time, so you can't cover too much of their face up.
Yeah. But
I mean,
you know.
He had the helmet with all the lights on it. He had all the fucking,
The
like...
tubes and
the
shit.
tubes, the boxes, all
Yeah.
that stuff. He looked like Weapon X.
Yeah.
And he just went fucking just ham on
Hog
them.
wild, dude. He just fucking, like...
stabbing, shanking people left and right. Everyone's just
slicing
like...
guys.
Even like Mystique's just like, oh god, what's going on there?
Dude, and then when fucking Stryker saw that he escaped, he shot a brick.
He's just like, I'll be right back, and he just books. He
does
gets
not
the
come
hell-
back.
He doesn't come back.
Yeah, but what I don't get is in Days of Future Past, Mystique was posing as Stryker and got Wolverine.
Yeah, they haven't made that connection as to what the fuck she was doing
Yeah.
with that. I don't know if that's gonna be part of the third Wolverine movie that's coming out, because they are paying more attention to how these things are branching out. That's one thing that they have going for them, is that Fox is actually trying to create a larger comic world, which I'll get into in a second. But yeah, that was the funny thing, because in that whole cameo, Hugh Jackman doesn't say a single fucking word. He doesn't say nothing. But he has the huge fucking 80s Wolverine hair.
The mullet.
He has the freaking super Wolverine mullet going on.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that whole thing ties in because, like, they have his blood, they have his vials, and they actually have the after scene credits where these people go and collect, like, samples of other things from Weapon X, including his blood.
Yeah.
So immediately I was just like, they're setting up X-23, and then they showed putting in a case with Essex Corporation on it.
Yeah.
Which I didn't immediately remember the name, but I was just like, Essex Corporation.
But until you said
I
it.
knew that. I was just like, it's because it's one of those things that just kind of hide in plain sight, because there's a lot of big corporations in Marvel, shady corporations like Roxxon and all that stuff. Essex Corporation. I should have known when I thought immediately X-23. It's like, where did X-23 come from? Fucking Essex Corporation. Not to mention fucking Dr. Nathaniel Essex, who's fucking Mr. Sinister.
Yeah.
Mr. Goddamn Sinister. The dude who fucking gave Cable the infection that turns him into like a half techno-organic freak, which is why he had to be sent into the future in the first place to cure, who's going to be who is Deadpool's like buddy.
Yeah.
So they're setting up a whole bunch of it because they already talked about how they wanted to introduce X-23. There's rumors about X-23 being in the new Wolverine movie, that in fact she's going to take over the whole Wolverine brand
After
because Hugh Jackman's like, I'm done after Wolverine 3. I'm done.
Yeah.
So that cameo kind of, or that Easter egg kind of sets up into these other movies. So not only X-23, they're also talking about Mr. Sinister, they're also connecting to Cable, so all these things are kind of coming together. But here we go. Constructive criticism-wise, we've been talking about it. There's flaws in the movie. Every movie fucking has flaws. But the thing is, it depends on how you treat these things. If you're a fan, there's a lot of stuff you can just like roll with or accept.
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It's just one of those things that comes with the territory. This one, I mean, for a movie that was this big, that had this much money behind it, with a director like Singer, some of the effects just weren't that polished.
Yeah.
Like they didn't.
That is true.
They didn't look as great as they should have, considering the budget of the movie.
Yeah.
And that took me out of it a little bit, but overall, I enjoyed it. I don't think it's the best X-Men movie that they've come out with, but it definitely wasn't shitty, and it wasn't, atrocious. It wasn't hard to follow.
Yeah.
It wasn't dull. The story flowed pretty well. It went from one thing to another. It managed a large group of characters pretty well.
Yes.
And it was self-aware. It didn't take itself too seriously or anything like that. And you could tell it was self-aware because there's this scene where the group of the kids sneak out and they go on the town and they come out of Return of the Jedi. And Scott and Jubilee were talking. Jubilee is just like, oh, Empire was the best, it was a more complex story, it had more interesting developments, and it wasn't scared to have a dark ending. And then Scott's like, yeah, but without the original, you wouldn't even have all these characters. And Gene's like, well, I think we can all agree the third one's the worst.
Yeah. And I think that was one of my favorite parts of the movie, too.
Because he was totally taking a shot at The Last Stand.
Exactly, yeah. They were like, that was their shot at the,
Well, and also at the same moment, this is the third one of this new trilogy.
Exactly.
That they've come out.
Yeah, so
I mean, it's self-aware. So, if you're a fan of the comics, you'll enjoy this movie. It definitely harkens a lot more to the comics lore in this one.
It does.
Than it has in the other ones before. So it seems like, they're actually not afraid to embrace the comic book, the goofiness, the colorfulness of the aspect of it.
That's
At the
true.
same time, without taking itself too seriously. It's not the best X-Men movie.
No.
But it's not the worst.
No, it's not.
And it is enjoyable. It's not bad. I would give it a 3.5 out of 5.
Yes. I mean, it's not. You can't really compare it to like the Marvel comic movies right now, because those are following definitive comic book stories that have been already established. With the X-Men, they're kind of going on their own route. Kind of like, you know who the characters are, but this is what we're gonna do. You can't go, to a shop and be like, okay, I'm gonna directly reference this comic book, this storyline, this timeline. Because it's so convoluted and it's already changed so many times, that you really don't have to, like, just go in there, like I always do, go in there with a sense of wonder, like, don't fucking have your expectations, oh, the comic book did this. No, you're going to watch the movie because the movie was made to be
its own thing.
Like, with Marvel movies, like, Age of Ultron, The Avengers, and all that kind of stuff, like, those are definite, stories and comics that I've read, like Age of Ultron, Civil War, in the first Avengers movie, with the Chitauri and everything, and then Thanos and everything, you kind of know what to reference there. So it's...
Well, Age of Ultron not so much, because the Age of Ultron comic is very different from the Age of Ultron movie, but it still deals with the whole fact of, like, Ultron doing the things he does.
Being Ultron.
Ultron.
I mean, yes. I mean, when the very first time that I heard that, Ultron was coming out, I was like, okay, so, well, they haven't done Ant-Man yet at that point in time, so they're going to go, Hank Pym or.
They went with Tony Stark.
With Tony Stark, but I mean, both at some point did have something to do with Ultron anyway. And then, of course, Ant-Man came out, and they, it wasn't, it was Scott Lang, instead of Hank Pym.
Well, Hank Pym kind of being the original
creator
Ant-Man,
of Ultron. Yeah.
Semi-retired.
Yeah, semi-retired. So, like, yeah, I mean, they didn't go directly with the comics, but you still knew, like, okay, which character was responsible for what was going on. So you weren't lost. You knew exactly what was going on. And then fucking Civil War, oh my god, dude. Like, seriously.
Yeah. We had a whole podcast about that.
Yes, we already did that.
We talked about it. Moving on to other comic news, big story coming out from this week, which we all know a little something about, even John.
Haven't had a chance to read it.
Haven't had a chance to read it because after the news broke on it, I mean,
sold out.
It pretty much sold out, but I've been keeping my ear to the ground about it. Basically, if you haven't heard, Captain America in the new
Steve Rogers
Steve Rogers Captain America #1 that came out on Wednesday, it was revealed that Cap was a deep cover Hydra agent. And this apparently has been planned for like the last 2 years.
Are we not Nazis?
Are we not Nazis? Yes, immediately. Just like everyone's making that connection to the Nazis because the Hydra was often depicted as being like this Nazi-like force.
Yeah.
I mean, they had connections to the Nazis. Whether or not they're not actual Nazis like Hitler Nazis, they still are associated with. That's kind of how they were presented to be.
Because of their allegiance in World War II and whatever.
Their allegiance to World War II,
they were a branch of the Nazi Party.
Not to mention their philosophies and how they align with just like the strong will prevail and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The Ronin here was the first one that actually alerted me to it because I haven't been keeping up much with the main Marvel comics as of late because just I don't have time or the money to read all of them. Plus, after Secret Wars, everything's been just kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
Everything's been kind of fucked up. But I try to keep an ear to the ground for anything that's interesting, and if I hear about something, I'll go out and check it out for myself. Yeah, and where did you even hear about that?
It came up on my feed. Everybody was talking about it. It was like day one.
Yeah, it was on CNN. That's how big it was.
Yeah.
It was on CNN because you took this character whose creators were Jewish.
Yeah.
Who was made as this way of combating, anti-Semitism, or just like they wanted a way to fight back against the whole Nazi ideal, the Nazi regime.
Yeah.
So they took the Nazi ideal with the super soldier, the Aryan super soldier, and turned it on its head and made it this humble dude who was constantly rejected, who the Nazis would reject as being, subhuman, and turned him into the Nazi ideal, and he goes around fucking punching Nazis into ovens.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and the funny
That's
part
actually
is,
a cover.
Yes.
That is a cover of Captain America, of him punching either Hitler or someone who looks like Hitler into a fucking oven.
Yeah, but that was another funny part of the whole Steve Rogers Captain America. He was a blonde, blue-eyed guy, and he was kicking Nazis' ass. It was like, oh, your ideal is fucking you.
See, again, this is something that Dennis and I already talked about shortly. It's just another gimmick.
It's a gimmick.
So, my prediction, we're recording right now, I'm just going to say, it's going to be, a triple agent kind of bullshit. It's going to be like, I had to play the villain to be the hero kind
Yes,
of deal.
I was a double agent. I was triple agent. I was pretending to be a double agent. See, that's the whole thing. Tom Beveroot actually came out. He's the senior editor at Marvel who's managing this, and he was talking about like how people are overreacting. We're not condoning anti-Semitism. All this. He compared it to the reactions of Superior Spider-Man and Bucky being brought back as the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't agree that the reaction with Bucky being the Winter Soldier is the same, because that Ed Brubaker crafted a masterpiece with that, but this just doesn't. I mean, it just reeks of gimmickry.
Yeah.
I mean, even what they're saying, they wanted it. They did it because they wanted a reaction.
They
wanted a reaction. They
Yeah.
wanted to reach people. Or he said it doesn't matter because in the end, you know, once everything's okay, everyone's going to be comfortable with it, and they can go back and look at it.
Yeah.
But it's just like you willfully did this. It's not. It's just. It's. Captain America carries a very heavy legacy. There's a lot of stuff that he stands for, that he's related to, his creators, all that stuff, and they fucked with it just for the sake of fucking with it. And they won't even, they say it's not a gimmick, you know, but it is. We all know where this is going to lead.
Otherwise?
We all know where this is going to lead. Yeah. In like a year, maybe less than a year, everything's going to go back. Cap's going to be the Sentinel of Liberty all over again. He's not going to have the tarnishedness of being associated with Hydra. Yeah. But the thing is that it shouldn't have even happened in the first place.
It shouldn't have.
You're so worried about whether or not that you didn't stop to think about that you should.
Exactly. I mean, and it wouldn't be, I mean, even at some point, you know, it wouldn't be surprised because plenty of times Hydra has brainwashed and brain manipulated, and like it's nothing new, you know. So, like, one thing I was telling Dennis, you know, it's going to be like Steve, you know, Captain America being, you know, have to be the hero that, you know, America needs, or the one that it deserves, fucking Batman style there, you know.
But it's just like, I just don't understand what they were thinking. Nothing new, nothing about the story is going to be new.
Especially with the release of Civil War.
With Cap losing his super soldier serum and getting it back and having some kind of side effect.
Yeah.
He's lost the serum before and all that stuff and didn't come back a goddamn Nazi.
Yeah.
But it's just, I mean, hell, when Cap was first brought back from the dead, he was possessed by the goddamn Red Skull. Yeah. So even that whole thing isn't fucking new.
No.
And just like...
Look, and the whole thing, and the whole involvement
like,
is with Baron Zemo anyway. So there's some fuckery going around there anyway.
It's just like, goddamn, dude. It's just like you're fucking with Cap's legacy. You're fucking with people just for the sake of fucking with them, and you know that it's not going to stick. Because it's not. It's
you're
not
beating
gonna.
A dead horse with that.
You're beating a dead horse. It's like, see, I've had this discussion with Ronin that the comics, because especially with all the different branches and all the different brands that we have in there, is that there's so many different versions of these characters. They should just have, but there's that continuity that goes through all of them, like a single existing storyline. That they should just have that they need to plot a course that ends, and that's the core story, and then any other version that you want of that character can exist outside of it in another story, because they've already done that. They've been doing that with like Ultimate Comics, 1602, DC's Elseworlds, the multiverse, all of that. All these different versions of these characters existed in those own worlds. But they got greedy. They didn't want them on their own. They needed it all to be in there. So you have this huge conglomeration of just amalgam of all these fucking characters. And it just fucks everything up. Because they claim that they're after new, fresh readers. That's the reason why they do these things.
So
to shake things up. But at the same time, they're keeping this continuity that the only people that would care, the only people that would know, are long-time readers.
Exactly.
So I don't understand that. It doesn't. Their business model doesn't make sense. It's like, we're after new readers, you know, but we're making it so that the only people that will care about this are long-term readers.
Yeah.
What?
So this is something from an interview here. Brev Root says that. He was asked, you know, this is for real, Captain America being Agent of Hydra. And it's like, and this is quoting, I'm going to say the same thing I've been saying. Captain America, Steve Rogers 2 will explain exactly why and exactly how we are where we are. And once that comes out in a few weeks, people will be able to understand what the last page really means and what it represents to the Marvel Universe moving forward. So pretty much, and he says that the questions you're asking right now are literally one issue away. So in the next issue, next couple of weeks, we'll explain as to why this is happening. You know, so like, as you said, you know, they're trying to quell the fear, you know, kind of like at the origin, just like, what the fuck is going on?
It sounds to me like they're just doing damage control.
Yeah.
Like, they expected a reaction, but they didn't think it would be this bad.
Yeah.
So now they're trying to do damage control on it.
Yeah.
Which, okay, I can understand. But at the same time, it's just like, dude, I mean...
Like, what did you think was going to happen?
What did you think was going to happen? I mean, what the hell did you think was going to happen? It would be like if... I mean... Okay. It would be if they made frickin' Luke Cage white.
Oh, yeah.
Like if
Imagine
Luke
the
Cage...
shitstorm that would hit
If
that
Luke
happened.
Cage just suddenly was white.
Oh. Shitstorms are brewing.
I mean...
Hey, man, don't let them hear you, because that shit's going to happen.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be like if, like I've said, like if Luke Cage was some deep undercover white person posing as a black man this whole time, living in Harlem.
Yeah.
That's the equivalent of what it would be. It just like it would fuck with the legacy of the character, their worldview, where they came from, what they were supposed to represent.
Yeah.
You know, it's just for the sake of a gimmick or whatever, a shock value that's not going to stick, that's going to change. It's like, why would you even do that? There's other ways. It's like, do you really need to shock these people? These stories have been around. These characters have been around for decades. They're not going anywhere. They're so scared of just like, we have to do this for longevity. It's like, no, you don't. You've already achieved longevity. These characters aren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
They're going to perpetuate themselves. And if you alienate your long-term audience, there will be no new audience. Because who do you think is going to tell their kids, hey, read this book?
Yeah. Alright, so I'm going to read another thing that he quoted here. It's a little long, but this is pretty much his justification. Let's see. If you come across the Marvel line or just superhero comics in general, you see the same thing happening everywhere. Even way back in the 1980s, James Rhodes became Iron Man, not War Machine. For a couple of years, he was Iron Man, and a bunch of years later, he did it again when Tony was out, and the status quo changed. Right now, Thor is a woman, Hulk is a Korean kid. We put our characters, particularly the long-running characters, through a lot of changes and a lot of status quos. And I think we do with everybody, not just Captain America.
Yeah, but those
But he's
examples
not.
have pissed
He's
a lot of
overlooking
people
the
off.
whole problem of the fact that this is what they're doing. They're not doing anything original, creative. They're just doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's not advancing the story in any way. That's the problem they're overlooking. Like I said, I wasn't upset at the fact that they did it.
Mm-hmm.
It was the reason why they did it.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I know this isn't going to stick, but for some reason they keep coming up with convoluted reasons to keep frickin' Spider-Man divorced from Mary Jane.
Yeah.
I have no idea why they're choosing that hill to die on, but it's just like, yeah, it's like we all know about status quos and doing all this random bullshit. Like we were talking about, comics have become soap operas, but it's the fact that you don't have to. You don't have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
With the kind of audience and money that you have behind you, you don't have to do that. You can have a very clear-cut path, end it, and then do something else.
Yeah.
You can. Japanese comics do it all the time. Manga, generally, I mean, there's some genres that go on forever.
Yeah.
I mean, fucking... What's the boxing one? Hajime
no Ippo? Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's endless. That's
That
like
one-
it's like chapter number infinite, man.
Yeah.
It's that's
Closed.
But the thing is that but even with those, when they go on that long, it's that it still follows a singular storyline.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't go back and retcon something to match up. They introduce new elements,
Yep.
but they don't go back and retcon something to
Just for the hell of it.
just to keep some new convoluted storyline going.
Yeah.
They actually build.
They build. They don't deconstruct. They say that they build by going through all these changes. Okay, Peter Parker magically unmarrying Mary Jane, becoming a man-child, and then all of a sudden being part of some scientist brain trust and then getting his own company is not building. You had to
force it.
You had to force it. You had to break him down, and now you're barely getting back to where he was and adding things onto there, which won't last because you're going to break his status quo again.
Boo.
It's like you shouldn't be having to go backwards to go forward. You should just be going forward all the time. But
I mean, I understand when people have low points in their life and crap like that, but you don't just undo everything in some convoluted way. I mean, they could have created a more freaking real life situation where, like, oh, some shit happened, they had to get a divorce. Not the magic bullshit.
This is all I have to say about how, I mean, Joe Quesada's, he was the biggest pusher about the whole magical disillusion of their marriage. His justification was that kids wouldn't like the divorce and that it seemed like it meant something if they were giving it up to save a mutual person that they loved. Just like they gave up their marriage to save Aunt May that they both cared about. So it was more heroic that way.
I didn't see it though.
I didn't see it. It was just dumb. I mean, there's all kinds of things with it. I mean,
that reminds me, how old is Aunt May now?
Depends.
She's like old.
She's old. In the 616 universe, she's old, but you don't know how old. But the thing is like she shouldn't be that old. In a lot of comics, she's like we were saying, she's portrayed as like this decrepit old woman, but it's just like she's Peter's aunt. She's not his great aunt.
No.
She's his aunt.
Direct aunt.
Which is why I think they based the movie version of Mary Jane in the MCU as being younger, kind of more of the ultimate Aunt May, where she's still spry, she's still got her groove,
and Tony Stark has an odd attraction to.
She's oddly attractive, but okay. Another thing that is coming out with Marvel is that they recently announced that Tessa Thompson, who is, I guess, she's starting to get fame now. She was in a little indie movie called Dear White People, and she was also in Creed. She got cast as Valkyrie, Brunhilde, in Thor Ragnarok. Now, I don't know if any of you know what Valkyrie or Brunhilde looks like, but she doesn't look anything remotely like Tessa Thompson. And, I mean, I can understand that they've been talking about diversification, but I mean, at the same time, it's just like...
With a name like Brunhilde?
What? I mean, just... I mean, even with diversification, I mean, there are other black women that would have fit the role of Valkyrie better than Tessa Thompson. Yeah. But honestly, I mean, when I think of Valkyrie, when I was thinking of Valkyrie, that the possibility of her being in Thor, who they could have cast of, one very clear choice came to mind. Gwendolyn Christine.
Yeah.
Fucking Brienne of Tarth, fucking Captain Phasma. She would have been fucking perfect as Valkyrie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she could be tied up in the whole Star Wars production.
No! Because Disney owns both of them. They could have made it work. They could have made it work. But I don't know. That casting just kind of boggles my mind. I don't see Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie at all. Honestly, if I had to think of a good Marvel character for Tessa Thompson to play, and I don't know why they wouldn't cast her. I guess maybe because they're saving her for the Luke Cage television series. But Misty Knight. I don't know if you know who Misty Knight is.
Misty Mousins?
No.
Dear God.
No, Misty Knight is a Marvel character. She's a hero for hire. She's tied in with Luke Cage. She's a detective, but she's kind of like that. She's got that kind of 70s blaxploitation kind of adage to her, just like a soul sister, but she's got that fucking robot arm that she's got beat the shit out of people.
Yeah.
She's an interesting character, but just like, I think Tessa Thompson, based on her previous work, she would have been perfect for a character like Misty Knight.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's just me. But it's just like I just don't see her as Valkyrie in any form.
Nope.
Shit, man, they should have gotten Grace Jones. Grace Jones ain't that old. Grace Jones could have freaking done Valkyrie if they wanted to use a black woman
Yep.
to play a giant blonde Scandinavian goddess.
Yeah.
But whatever. Now, here, John actually has to do all the heavy lifting. This is our Animu section with the Animu Doctor, Kamino, FourEyedRounin. John, what do you have for us in the world of weeaboos and such?
Well, I got a couple of animes that just came out recently. You guys can chime in anytime you like. I'm gonna give the Japanese title, and if you'd like, the English one as well.
Let's
And
do both.
I'm gonna give my little impression of it in accordance to the podcast.
John is very proper, if you haven't sussed that out.
It's because I'm Asian.
That's bullshit, man! That's bullshit. I've seen you do shit that's improper.
Many.
That's my excuse for everything.
Many
'Cause I'm
times.
Asian.
You suck at math.
I don't suck at math.
You suck at math. You're terrible Asian.
The worst.
But anyways,
Anyway, the first one's gonna be Ri Zero Kara Hajimeru Isekai Seikatsu.
say that 10 times fast.
No, I'm not Japanese.
Sorry.
Anyways, it's basically the English translation to that title is ReZero Life in a New World. And it's basically what happens to this character named Subaru Natsuki. And he's basically Hikikomori, went out to go to get some snacks from the convenience store. Bam! Suddenly in this fantasy world full of cat people, animal people, dragon, lizard people, everything.
I understand what the hikikomori is. I've come to understand the term based on our association with the culture, but to the uninitiated.
A hikikomori is basically a shut-in who has done with the socializing face-to-face with anybody, even to the point where they don't leave the house. They view themselves as the protector of the house and or room. In particular, their room.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a very extreme sect of antisocial behaviors.
Yeah. Basement dwellers, essentially.
Yes.
They're Japanese basement dwellers.
Just like that guy from South Park.
From the Warcraft episode?
Yeah.
Yep.
By the way, I did see a cosplay of that once. It was glorious. The neckbeard guy with his desk, computer, everything.
And the wrist protectors.
Yes.
Oh my god. That's great.
So, for those of you who have actually seen this, he, thinking his life is now like an anime or manga, is like, oh, I should get a legendary weapon now and meet a bunch of girls and lead this RPG life. Every turn he takes, the world just crushes him with reality. It's like, oh no, real life is hard. Oh, somehow you can actually talk to people, but you can't read the language. Suck it.
Huh.
It gets to the point where he meets this girl, tries to help her, try to get closer to her, and then he gets cut through the gut and dies.
That's how it ends?
That's how it begins.
Oh, okay. I was just like, God damn.
That was like episode 2.
I mean,
believe.
goddamn, I know the Japanese can get dark on some
He
shit.
got gutted. It was a big, like, almost kukri-like thing, and gutted. He bled out. Slowly and painfully. And then all of a sudden he wakes up again and is like, in the world, but like at an earlier point in time. And he's like, what the fuck just happened? Was that all a dream? And then it all happens again, and he's like, fuck! What's going on? I've died twice now. What the fuck?
So it kind of sounds like all you need is kill or live.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Groundhog's Day thing going on. But he doesn't get to choose what point he gets to revive at.
So you can revive at any random point in that.
And no, it's automatic. He doesn't get to choose it. It chooses for him.
Oh.
And without any spoilers...
Nah, fucking spoil him, man. We don't care.
He thinks he got past that spawn point. Tries to continue. Suddenly dies in his sleep. Wakes up earlier that week and was like, what the fuck? How did I die? And then all this bullshit happens.
Interesting.
Let's move on to the second one. Oh, this one was great. The anime is called Sakamoto Desu Ka? The English one is called Haven't You Heard I'm Sakamoto?
Haven't you heard I'm Sakamoto?
It's about this high schooler kid. He tries to live his life really stylishly. The reoccurring theme of the show is like the announcer going, oh, he's cool, cooler, coolest. And it's like real, like, he tries to live like the Bishonen life.
Okay.
Or Bishoujo. I don't know. Like the really artsy-fartsy kind of like, I am the ideal man kind of
the
bullshit.
Twilight kind of shit. The Twilight ideal.
Yeah. It got to the point where like some of these guys that were jealous of his popularity and his coolness tried to pull pranks on him, and each turn he thwarts them
By
in
just
his
being-
weird bullshit way.
By just being too Bisojo, he's just
he's just too
thwarting people.
cool. It's like they tried to pull the chair underneath him. He does like the perfect sitting squat, like it was nothing.
He just holds it. No chair. He's just like, I don't need a chair to sit.
Exactly.
My swag keeps me up.
Exactly. So there's another time they completely get like threw his desk out the window, and it's like, oh, Sakamoto, we don't have a desk for you. Where are you gonna sit? He opens up the goddamn window, sits on the sill with his book all fucking romanticized. It's like, carry on, teacher. I'll read from here. And all the girls are just like drooling over him, and all the guys are like, what the fuck? Why is he so cool?
It's not fair.
Dude, you want to be cool like
So
John?
basically, he's Ryan Gosling all the time.
All the time, like, turns up to 11, and it's like stuck with like fucking crazy glue.
Ryan Gosling turned up to 11, stuck with crazy glue.
With like
Yep.
the whole, he talks like the same way all the time, like cool guy. It's like
He has all the right things to say. Like, he knows the right thing to say at the right time.
yeah, every time. And
The
one
perfect
time, like
lines.
the thugs are like, fuck it, Sakamoto goes to the restroom, and they get a big bucket of water and tossed it over the stall onto him. You see him walk out of the restroom with a fucking umbrella. Where the fuck did he get an umbrella?
He's magical.
It's like he's god hacking the whole fucking life just to look cool. He signed the contract with the devil or something. And there's only 2 episodes out!
Really? I thought it was more.
No, it's only 2. That kind of like split into 2 episodes, like 2 shorts in 1 episode.
So this is one to check out, huh?
It's hilarious.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Alright. Next one is gonna be...
How many do you have?
I have like 6.
Oh my god.
It's
Alright.
called...
Rapid fire. Pick the
Alright.
best ones. Let's go.
Alright, then we'll go with this anime called 100. It's
100.
called 100 in English too, because it's an English word.
Okay.
basically, it's a rehash of Infinite Stratus.
Oh,
Okay.
There's a chick that's pretending to be a boy, and he's basically the guy with the sword with these kind of like partial armor flying bullshit.
So he has a power suit with flight capabilities and a bullshit sword.
Yeah, and it just appears after like they say some magic words to a crystal, and it's like boom, you're now geared up with sciencey shit.
Okay.
And he's like special because he's basically a variant, so he's like overpowered whenever he's full throttle.
What is it with them and variants, man? It's just like, oh, he's a variant. That's bad. It's just like comics, man. Variants are good. You want a variant.
Hell yeah.
No, that's why they're saying it. He's a variant. He's overpowered. Is
he
good.
mint in box?
No.
Deus Ex Machina.
I think it's to be variant. You had to have the stupid alien blood in you. So he got attacked when he was a kid. He saved somebody, but in the meantime he got hurt doing so. So he killed the alien, but also got the blood in him.
That kind of sounds like a. It
It
kind of
sounds
sounds
like,
like what
Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow. Yeah, that's how he got his time travel capability. Interesting. Check that one out.
And the second to last one I want to talk about just for today is Anatsu Kyoshito, which is Assassination Classroom,
Oh, I
Season
know this.
2.
Yes,
I haven't seen the anime for it, but I've read
Basically,
the manga.
the overall summary of Season 2 is Nagisa overwhelming.
Nagisa overwhelming.
The little boy girl that looks like a long-haired, blue-haired...
Little boy girl.
The little boy girl. Because he's a boy, he's kind of like girly, and everybody wants to make him dress up as a girl and shit.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's a trap.
He's kind of a trap. No, he tries to be a boy, and everybody else is like
trap.
They're trying to make him a trap.
Yeah.
But he is like, oh hey, I was just this meek little kid, just here, not really good at anything particular. Oh, we need to kill this alien that's being our teacher?
Yes, for those of you who don't know, Assassination Classroom, their teacher is an alien that's hell-bent on destruction, and he's basically trying to teach these, like, alternative learning center types to become worthy killers. And it's just freaking hilarious because he wants the biggest thing is they keep trying to kill him, but he's just like he's too elite. He's too elite at destruction and
Basically,
mayhem.
he's going to destroy the world by the end of their high school life. And they're trying to kill him because the government's sanctioning them to kill him and trying to get, like, actual assassins coming in. But everybody fails because
He's too elite.
bullshit
Man.
powers. But at the same time, he is like the perfect teacher. It's
Yeah.
like every life problem they have, he solves it, and they learn and grow and
He
mature
has much
from there.
wisdom.
But Nagisa is one of the reoccurring characters because he's in the classroom. He's basically taken to the assassination training. He's apparently an assassin prodigy.
Ah. Some people learn to play piano really young.
Yeah.
He'll kill the fuck out of you
Yep.
with a spoon.
He's like taking down 2 fucking pro assassins by himself.
But he looks so young and innocent.
That's the thing. He could like, he's like, oh, I'm not gonna kill you. I love you. Stab! Fuck you.
It's always the quiet ones, man.
Yeah.
It really
The
is.
crazy ones.
And last but not least is more of an announcement. It's
Announcement.
What?
Shokugeki no Soma, or Food Wars, Season 2 is
my-
coming out this summer.
Oh my god.
Oh, finally.
Food Wars is getting a second season.
Yes, I am so excited. It's basically food porn with more porn.
Oh my god. If people don't understand, Food Wars is like taking all the food porn that you've ever seen on like Travel Channel or the Food Network where you watch something and you're just like, oh, it's so good. Amped up to the 11th degree with like the most like combined Dragon Ball Z with like the Food Channel, and that's kind of what Food Wars is like.
That and they like add snippets of like hentai scenes in there. It's like, oh,
Yes, you have bitches orgasming from trying his beef Wellington, if you know what I mean.
Well, they don't go that far. It's all about food.
Yeah.
They don't get their necky on.
Oh, yeah, they do. They do. They splash. But there's only so much you can show on Japanese broadcasts.
Yeah, but like,
there's the word of the day would be fan service.
a little bit beyond fan service. This is more
Innuendo. Innuendo.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're nearing.
We have one more segment for you today, which is why Knights of Day, we here, like we said, our mission statement, we want to combat ignorance and expose you to new and different things. Part of that being is we recommend things for you to explore. And this is our Knight of Day Recommends. Ace?
Shit. Well,
I don't want to look at the shit.
what? I don't know. I don't remember really what I watched recently.
Doesn't necessarily have to be recent. Could be
Well,
something that you've seen that you haven't been able to talk to a lot of people about. Maybe they don't know.
Well, I don't know, dude. I talk to you what I watch pretty much all the time. You know, you haven't seen The Flash yet. You've been seeing Legends of Tomorrow. You haven't seen none of that shit. So
Well, talk about that then. Recommend.
Watch The Flash.
Why should I watch it?
Because it's
Why?
great.
Because
It's
Flash is
fantastic.
overpowered.
Dude, it tells a great adaptation of Barry Allen, how he gets his powers at the start. You know, obviously the first season's like, oh, Flash year one. You know,
Flash,
and,
strongest in the universe.
Yeah,
That doesn't do
and
shit.
throughout the whole series, you know, he gets to be the Flash for like 2-3 years already. So he discovers his powers, fucking time travel and shit.
Could have been with the hot
lightning,
Felicity Smoke, but decides to go after his own
Iris West and shit.
stepsister-ish
Like,
thing.
it speaks for itself, Dan. As I told you over and over again, the season's already done. All right, it was the season finale. You have 4 fucking seasons to watch.
Is it 4 seasons?
I don't know, 3 seasons.
Like,
I don't even know.
Seems like a lot. But yeah, I told the reason why I haven't gotten to that is because I have
You
a
don't have
backlog.
time.
I work
Of what?
for a living and I have a backlog
So
of
do
stuff that I
I.
get through.
I work for a living too. Okay, and I have time to watch The Flash and other shit.
Whatever,
So-
you don't work for a living.
Yes, I do.
Motherfucker. No, I will check out The Flash. You people check out The Flash if you haven't seen it. Apparently it connects the Arrowverse would not exist if it were not for The Flash.
And Supergirl and DC's Legends of Tomorrow, which is another one you have to watch.
That's the Arrowverse, man. They're all tied. All right.
Do it.
Yes, I will do that. For me, it's one of them. I found it on Netflix. I hadn't really heard of it before. I hadn't really seen it anywhere before. Starring Henry Rollins is this little movie called He Never Died. And
Yes.
I don't know if anyone if any of you listening have ever seen this movie, but it's great. I mean, it is a quirky little independent film. Henry Rollins is basically an immortal. How long he's been alive?
No one knows.
He doesn't even know. He's just been around for a very long time, and it takes the whole thing about just like when he's lost his luster for life because it's just like he's been around so like he's done everything he's ever wanted to do. He's got nothing surprises him, so just everything kind of just walks. He's unfazed by any real major revelation. Like he gets told that he has a daughter, and he's just like, okay.
I've had plenty.
That's whatever. It's funny because like when he was told he was called by his ex, and he's just like, I remember hating you. Don't call me again. And he hangs up, and she tries to call him, and she's just like, look, I'm trying to tell you that our daughter is coming to see you. She wants to know who you are. And he's like, okay, I still hate you. Bye.
Yeah.
And like all kinds of things, like they try to hold his daughter ransom because he ends up getting involved. He needs blood. Like he has a thirst for human blood, and he needs it to keep him sated. If he controls it just a little bit at a time, he can remain like unsavage.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what exactly is going on. It seems like he's cursed.
But he's not a vampire.
He's not a vampire. No, he's not a vampire. He's not like a fucking zombie. In the movie, it later reveals that he's Cain. Like Cain and Abel.
Yes.
And he's just been cursed to walk the earth for all eternity. And he needs human blood to keep him from turning into a monster.
Yeah.
And so he's been getting it from like this med student who basically just like brings him cadavers, and he just like slowly drains those.
Yeah.
And the kid is also being used by like these drug runners for other stuff, so they end up like kidnapping him, and they try to tell the dude just like, hey, you know, if you want to see this kid alive again, come meet us there. And he just does not care. He's just like, oh well, time to find a new blood pusher.
Yeah.
You know, his daughter gets kidnapped, and he's just like, oh, that sucks. But Henry Rollins, I mean, he just plays this character so perfectly. Like, when they try to threaten him with a gun, he just smacks the gun out of the dude's hand, and they have absolutely no idea, like, what to do. They're just like,
holy shit.
What the fuck? He gets sprayed in the face with mace, and he's just like, that hurt. Fuck.
Yeah. And he beats the shit out
They
of him.
can't intimidate him. Nothing surprises him. Just like, he just... I don't know how to describe it. It's a movie that you have to watch. This is why I'm telling you about it. But like, it's not gonna cost you anything. If you guys have streaming, if you have Netflix, which I'm certain by at this point, like 90% of the population has access to in one way or another. Either you're, you know, poaching someone's account, or you have your own. It's not gonna cost you anything. I'm pretty sure it's still on Netflix. Just
Should be.
Look it up. It's called He Never Died, starring Henry Rollins and kind of no one else. He's the biggest name in there. But it's a quirky, funny, darkly funny movie. Won't cost you anything to check it out whenever you have the time. In between your usual Netflix binges.
Yep.
As for my recommendation for today, it's going to be tied to both Japanese culture and my handle, FourEyedRounin. It's going to be called Ame Agaru, and the English title is After the Rain. It's an award-winning movie, live action, about a Ronin and his travels. It's quite funny.
Is it just quite funny?
It's hilarious.
It's hilarious. On a scale from 1 to 10, how hilarious, how quite funny is it?
It's on the quirky level of funny.
Okay.
When you don't, does a lot of things where you don't expect a samurai or ex-samurai Ronin to do.
Where you're just watching, you're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, quite like that.
I could dig that.
Like little quirky, jovial bits here and there. It's just like, why is this in this movie? It's great, but what is going on?
Give us an example.
Basically, they get stuck in downpour and they can't cross the river, so everybody's in this inn.
Uh-huh.
And he comes in, it's like everybody's there. There's this one geisha, red light district prostitute, and
The fucky section.
yeah, and then all these other villagers, and they're like, hey, we can't do anything here, it's raining for days, it's a typhoon, whatever. Let's go get drunk and like eat and shit, whatever. So they all start like get the traveling minstrels coming in, it's like, hey, let's make some music. And the Ronin guy's like, I dig this, come on, hey! And he tries to get the prostitute to come down and join them. It's like, whatever, just we're not gonna pay for you right now. It's like, whatever, come in, enjoy the food,
Hang out.
Yeah,
We don't want to fuck you, but we want to hang out with you.
exactly. And then he starts talking about his travels, and it's like, how the fuck do you keep on going? It's like, because once he became a Ronin, he basically had zero money and went town to town and survived. He basically went to every dojo, challenged the sensei there, and as soon as the battle started, he would immediately give up.
So he wouldn't even try. He's just like, okay, that's enough.
Yeah, right before the first swing is struck, he would put his training sword down and like full bow, like on the floor bowing.
We're not worthy.
It's like, I surrender. You are too great. I can sense it. And that would appease the sensei so much that they're like, hey,
stroking that ego.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, you want? Yeah, you understand my greatness. So here, have a meal. Stay the night. Here's a couple dollars. Go on your way. So that's how he got around.
Wow, he kind of sounds like Jose.
Yeah. Without all the lies.
Oh my god.
He was a very simple and truthful dude.
Oh man.
So
That's
that
an
was my
inside.
recommendation.
Yes, and that was an inside joke for you people that don't understand. Sorry that you could not appreciate that, but you know what? Fuck you.
Be
And
glad. Be glad.
Be
Ignorance
glad.
is bliss.
Be glad. But that's. I don't got anything else. You
Nope.
got anything else?
Done.
That's what we got for today. And if you like it and you want to keep listening to us, subscribe, do all that stuff. Tell your friends. Tell your
Share it.
mom. Because
Especially tell your mom.
yes,
And tell your Aunt May she's oddly attractive.
yes she is.
All right, get you guys out there. You guys have a good night, and we'll catch you next week.
Fuck you too.
For Please Don't Sue Us Podcast Episode 3, I am Dennis Day.
Ace.
FourEyedRounin.
Later.
And out.